if you look throughout your card on the back as well, remember, you'll see that every single panel has been handpicked and is delicious. Yeah, imagine an editor not actually being able to find a word to describe that other than delicious. Before we invite Chris Turner, who is the co-founder of KulaDao, to make our first keynote, Chris, all yours.
Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. It's my privilege to be with us all today, and I think it's a really exciting time to be in this industry. And honestly, I'm really excited about the conversations that we'll be able to have for the rest of the day together and for the various different presentations that will come. I want to say thank you, James, for making space for this, creating this space for all of us, but also for us at Kula. We're really thankful, so thank you for that. My name is Chris Turner. I'm a co-founder of KulaDao, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about the story of who we are as a business. But it comes from a very personal background, and I've spent most of my career living in Asia. I'm far more comfortable in a slum in Mumbai or a rice field in Cambodia than I am in the heart of the finance district, but that's okay. I worked for many UN agencies in my career, and I started off in health promotion, specifically with HIV/AIDS prevention, and through the career, eventually got to the point where I was assessing large-scale national projects. I was working on one particular assessment as an assessment team in East Asia on a $2.5 billion investment that had been made by the Global Fund to see has the actual money got to the grassroots. And with the assessment team, we worked for about a month, and we went to various different provincial centres and right down to township level. And we actually found at the end of the process about $300,000 had made it to the grassroots organisations that the money was intended for, but the actual money had been skimmed at every level of the provincial and township, even down to even small teams within each townships. And it was really distressing to me. And at that point, after an experience of a career in non-profit work, I kind of got jaded and thought, I'm done with that. So I actually moved then working for Asia Development Bank and ASEAN on integration in Southeast Asia, and sadly found the same dynamics, billion-dollar projects, but the actual communities that were intended to benefit from those projects actually got nothing. And again, I kind of got a little bit jaded by that and ended up finally with a project, a large mine in East Asia that also had the same dynamic, where the community groups were promised certain returns on their investment to exploit the mine. And what they did was the community groups all were pitted against each other with different remuneration packages, and ended up where they were infighting while the actual value has been extracted. And I've been kind of in the underbelly of the development world for many years, and seen so many things that I kind of thought, is there a way? Is there something that can actually bring some sort of change to these dynamics? My first blockchain crypto conference was around 2016, and I was really, again, at that point, it's like a bunch of crypto degens with their meme coin emergence, and I just thought, this is crazy, it's not really doing anything. And then a gentleman stood up and gave a presentation from Maersk Shipping, and that year they put all of their inventory on chain, and they'd saved themselves $4 billion. And at that point I thought, okay, that's a real use case for this technology. And so I started to explore what could that look like, and then in my career moved into actually the early SDG generation in the UN, putting the provenance of the SDGs into blockchain technology. During COVID, just before COVID, my wife sadly had kidney failure and we had to come back to the UK. And she's okay now, but at that time, it was kind of a time of recalibration. And I met now my co-founders of KulaDao on a phone call. One works in the US, he's the largest crypto brokerage firm in North America. And the other gentleman works for the University of Illinois in their emerging technology department. And the three of us asked the question, is there a way to help communities using blockchain technology to access the value of the assets that they live on or around, and actually have some form of governance and participation by using smart contracts in the evolution and development of those assets. And that really became the birth of what is now KulaDao. So we had this idea, essentially we've taken a private equity journey in terms of investing into assets, but then on top of that, we tokenize the governance system of how those assets are developed. And we align the interests of the different stakeholders by using that tech to actually bring evolution and a different type of wealth distribution, because the smart contracts ensure that every stakeholder plays well to develop the asset, but also gets a financial return, but also a say and a stewardship stake in how those assets get developed. Initially, we thought, okay, let's build a project, let's fundraise where we can, get the tech stack worked out, go to ICO, and then from the money that we raised from that process, start then investing in more projects. But we realized we needed to actually have a real use case to go to market with. And about 2 years ago, we made our first investment into a limestone concession in Zambia. And it's been quite a journey. We've made loads of mistakes, but we've actually deployed the DAO technology with the community, with the different stakeholders in that process, and allowed them to start making decisions about the direction of the asset in which they go. So choices made such as the women, the community around the mine and the actual workers at the mine voted for pay parity, which again the developers have to do because they're tied by a smart contract. They voted for a small pay increase of $1, which is mostly like, as in this room, all getting a 25% pay rise, which I think we'd all really appreciate. But again, the smart contracts are locking the developers and us as an investment company into the decision-making process. So those decisions carry through because of the DAO technology that's put on top of the actual asset. Productivity as a result has gone up, so we're all making more money, everyone's happy. So it's a really nice use case where it demonstrates that it's worked, but we also have many stories to come, I'm sure, where we'll see different outcomes as we keep building the project. At this point now, we have 3 projects in Zambia that we've contracted, about a couple of $100 million worth of assets on our books. But really, the goal of this whole process is, what's the real use case for blockchain technology? How do we utilize this really powerful technology to provide provenance to these types of processes? We've been invited back from the Zambian government to start looking at their overall assets, from the Science and Technology Ministry, the Ministry of Mines, to start looking at how do we do that at a national scale. And my colleague was just in Nepal recently working with the Prime Minister of Nepal and his group, his banking group there, looking at even at crypto regulations for that country in terms of how can blockchain start to bring more benefit and development to that country. And we've got a number of different projects now coming online, so we're starting to sign contracts. We've got things lined up in Kenya and Uganda, in Nepal, Indonesia and Malaysia on the books to come. At the moment, we are regulated through VARA. I think this panel discussion was really interesting. We've been through about 9 different jurisdictions in the last 3 years, working with regulators where they haven't been able to essentially necessarily grasp what we're trying to do and how we're trying to approach the problems that we're solving. And eventually we ended up in Dubai, so we've got pre-approval for our broker-dealer license and VAS license through the Virtual Assets Regulatory Authority there. Really wonderful group of guys and really innovative and forward-thinking, and actually working with us to structure our technological and the innovation of it in a way that works and can be brought to market. And we are a DAO, and I'm noticing in this particular crypto cycle, the focus is very much about real-world assets and less about DAO. And I think decentralized autonomous organizations, they are actually really have quite a few problems. And whilst they're innovative and they've got great utility, and I actually think in the future will become more of a way that most of our organizations do function. What we've built is a hybrid, kind of semi-autonomous, decentralized-ish organization that's leveraging the upside of the technology, but within the system, we've used the technology to provide a triangulated structure of authority so the decisions can be checked and balanced, which makes the regulators happy, and it also protects our investors in terms of how we approach the process. I think, to stand here today is really interesting from where we started, and we never thought we'd get to where we got to. And we've been told along the way many times this project will fail. You guys aren't the right stock. You don't have the right backgrounds in terms of banking or legal, just legal experience. And yet we're at the cusp of launching this project here in about 4 to 6 weeks' time. And we're really excited where it goes. And I think it's really interesting, and I'm really, really thankful to be part of today and listen to both the first panel and what follows, because a lot of the countries that we do work in are Commonwealth countries. So I'm really excited to have more conversations with various different people, with different ones of you today as we enter these different markets. At the end of the day, I sat with a lady last year in Zambia, and I asked, what is it that what do you dream for? And her simple response was like, I just dream for a road so there can be a bus, so I don't have to walk 4 hours to where I work, and my children don't have to walk 4 hours to school each day and walk back 4 hours. And what's happening through our investment, through the development of that particular asset and through their participation, is that now new microeconomic forms of finance and change are actually coming to that community on their own terms. And I'm really excited about seeing that replicated at scale as we grow what we're building with KulaDao. So that's who I am. Really grateful for this time and space, and looking forward to talking to you guys today. If you have any questions or would like to know more, please come find me. I'm here with 2 colleagues, Sat and Taryn, as well. So there's 3 of us in the room that can answer any questions. And again, I just want to say thank you for this time and space.